This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together, or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
Marketing is hard. But I'll tell you a little secret. It doesn't have to be. Let me point something out. You're listening to a podcast right now, and it's great. You love the host. You seek it out and download it. You listen to it while driving, working out, cooking, even going to the bathroom. Podcasts are a pretty close companion. And this is a podcast ad. Did I get your attention? You can reach great listeners like yourself with podcast advertising from Libsyn Ads. Choose from hundreds of top podcasts offering host endorsements, or run a pre-produced ad like this one across thousands of shows to reach your target audience in their favorite podcasts with Libsyn Ads. Go to libsynads.com, that's LIBSYN, ads.com today.
This is Gala Avery reporting to you from inside the Video Archive Cinema Club, the 20-seat secret cinema located within the Vista. Today, I am joined by Video Archive Cinema Club manager Matt Landsman to chat about the calendar for the week of Monday, December 23rd. Hey, Matt, happy holidays.
Happy holidays to you, Gala. It's just about that time of the month when people start to receive their Christmas presents.
And aren't we so excited to open them all up? But speaking of the holidays, this week at the Cinema Club, we are closed for Christmas Eve, which is Tuesday. And we are also closed for Christmas Day, which is Wednesday.
Even though we're closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I actually have a Christmas present for you to open right here and now.
Oh my gosh, really? I did not know that this was happening. Oh my gosh. Wow, I got a Christmas. Oh, it's really light. What is it?
Oh,
okay, there's an I Love VHS sticker.
perhaps for a water bottle or something.
My giant water bottle. Oh my god, it's like a little video archive standee and it's in blue. It's like a tape standee.
It is a tape stand that is one of one, just like you.
Aw, thanks, Matt. Wow, I didn't get you anything. I'm looking so terrible right now, but I'm not going to look as terrible when I have my video archive stand on display.
So the thing about this is, for those who can't see it,
I'll post a picture on the Patreon.
Video archive stands have kind of become a staple of the Video Archive Cinema Club. We use them to display a lot of the tapes and the discs that we play here in the Cinema Club. And for Gala, for Christmas this year, she is receiving one that is in Gala Show colored blue that we tried to match as closely as possible.
Oh, that's so nice, especially for those of you that don't know, blue is my favorite color and also my middle name. So thanks, Matt. This is a really meaningful gift, and I wonder which tape I'm going to display in it. I have a tape in mind. I wonder
Train
if
Killer.
I'm going to put one of my Train Killer tapes in this on display on my cabinet. I will post a picture of this over on our Patreon, patreon.com/video archives for anyone that wants to see, because this is a really cool special gift. Thanks, Matt.
And that brings us into, now everyone else has opened their Christmas presents, and it is now the 26th, which brings us to the Rocking Horse winner.
Okay, so the Rocking Horse winner, you guys, this is like a really kind of intense, gripping movie. It's one of those just like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's based on a short story by D.H. Lawrence, and it's about this young boy who his entire family, his mom came from a rich family. She was a trust fund recipient, but the trust fund has kind of run out, and her brother is the one that's been doling out money, but she spends and spends and spends like crazy, and her husband never makes enough money, and she's never getting enough money from the trust fund, and they live this extravagant lifestyle, and it's Christmas, and the banker's calling because they're overdrawn, and she's just bought all these gifts, including this crazy giant rocking horse for her children, and her husband's gambling, and just nothing is going right, and the stress, and anyone out there who is a child whose parents have had money stresses may be able to relate to this movie. I think it's kind of a universal feeling. Even if your parents aren't like going bankrupt, there is always a point in your life where you, as a child, kind of realize like, hey, money exists and it's really important because it's what my parents are stressing about. And his parents are constantly stressing about it to the point where the house starts to whisper to him,
Wow.
we need more money, money.
My house whispers that to me.
I know. And so it's like when I'm watching this, I'm like, oh my God, it's like all of my anxieties about everything. It's like, we need more money. So it gets to the point they have this, his father was in the war and his, what do they call it? Like his concierge, like his
Mhm.
father was an officer and he basically had a right-hand man who made sure that everything was in order for him during the war. And he's now being employed by the family and he lives kind of in the barn outside. And he befriends this boy who is played by John Howard Davies, who is also in Oliver Twist. You might recognize him from the 1948 Oliver Twist. And they kind of befriend each other and he discovers that his father and this friend, Bassett, are betting on horses. But his father has no luck. And his mother keeps on telling him, like, your dad has no luck. He has no money. You're so sweet that you want to give me the £1 that you have in your piggy bank. But keep that and eventually you'll become a billionaire. And so he just gets so caught up in this that he asks Bassett to go and to take this £1 and basically go bet on a horse. And of course, they lose the bet. And the kid gets so caught up in it that he manifests the magic power to predict horse race winners on the horse track by riding his rocking horse. Basically, he gets on this horse and starts whipping it and goes insane, like whipping it and like, yeah, show me who's going to win. And he like visualizes and puts himself in the jockey position and then tires himself out to the point of exhaustion and falls over and then discovers who is going to win the race. And they start betting and they start winning. And when they start winning, he's like, I'm going to save up enough money. I'm going to make £80,000 or whatever to pay off my family's debt so that we have enough money. And while he's secretly doing this, the house is just going to ruin because like the debt collector's there and just everything is so stressful. And he can't yet tell his mother that he's gambling because it's like what's brought his father to ruin. And it's a really tragic tale. There were a few moments where, to be honest, I felt like almost uncomfortable squirming in my seat because it's just like the stresses of your parents' debts weighing upon you at Christmas time. And it's something that I think everyone can relate to.
Yeah. I think we've all had those years where, you know, you maybe get lighter of a load of presents or something like that, and it causes you to look a little bit further than what did I want for myself this year as a kid, and start to kind of see some of the struggles that your parents are going through and that your family's going through. It's a really, really interesting concept.
It definitely is. And it's an interesting thing because there's a point of struggle for parents where they don't want to show their children that they're struggling because they want their kids to always have this childhood. And in this movie, this is the gift of the rocking horse, that she gives this like really detailed rocking horse to them to kind of say like, oh no, everything's okay. And when I was a kid, I mean, we had hard times and stuff, like when my dad went to jail. And I remember one Christmas, we didn't think we were going to have Christmas. And I remember under the tree, I got a blanket. And let me tell you, that is like one of the most meaningful gifts I've ever gotten in my life. I still have it. It is still on my bed. And it's just, it is those moments though where you realize like what is actually important. It's not material things, but it's like the togetherness and it's life. And so this movie really brings that to the forefront. And the performances are really great. And this rocking horse thing, man, it's just wild.
Yeah,
So,
I bet Biff wishes he had that
Oh my
in
God.
Back to the Future.
I'm sure he
It's like a
does.
similar sort of thing to like the almanac almost.
it sure is.
And tickets to the Rocking Horse winner are still on sale at the time of this recording, and you can find them on vistatheaterhollywood.com. And that brings us to the 27th, where we are showing LA Confidential. And at the time of this recording, this show is sold out, but that doesn't mean that you won't be able to get tickets to it. You will still be able to do the standby at the box office on the day of the show.
And this is playing at 7:30 p.m. It's going to be a really fun, I mean, it's already a packed house, so it's just going to be a great audience. This is one of those like classic LA movies.
This was one of the first shows this month to sell out. And let me talk a little bit about why and sort of what this movie is. So this was made in 1997, and it's a big studio noir movie that was an homage to films of another era, even at its time, almost 30 years ago. And they really don't make movies like this anymore. This was based on a 1990 novel from the LA Quartet series by James Ellroy, the guy who wrote the Black Dahlia novel. And it was interesting because at the time, this was pre-Gladiator. There wasn't much with Russell Crowe. There wasn't much with Guy Pearce. They weren't these like vetted stars. Curtis Hanson had done The River Wild, but he wasn't like a huge director.
I love The River Wild.
Well, the studio saw that and they gave him the chance to make this movie. And they put him in good company with one of my favorite actors of all time, Danny DeVito, who plays a tabloid reporter who's being fed information by Kevin Spacey. And it also has the lovely Kim Basinger in sort of one of the last big studio movies that I recall seeing her in, even though she was a favorite of mine since childhood because of Batman '89. And it has a really classic Jerry Goldsmith score, and it was nominated for just about everything. And there's a killing on Christmas Eve, and it sort of takes place in the aftermath of that killing, which sort of makes it a good New Year's movie. And it's sort of about these different LA cops who are all trying to solve this murder for different reasons. So there's like the son of a murdered detective, that's Guy Pearce, who wants to like avenge the killing. There's an ex-partner, that's Russell Crowe, and he was sort of implicated in a scandal. And then there's Kevin Spacey, who's feeding information to the press. And this was a huge movie of its time. It was considered the best movie of 1997. It was lauded by critics. It was loved by Roger Ebert, and I love this movie. It's considered almost a perfect movie. But what I wanted to talk about here, Gala, is like this aspect of like historical rewriting. Why is it that we have these movies that feel like they're tremendous at the time, and then a number of years later they're not playing anywhere, and this has become a more sort of obscure movie that people are really excited to see again at the Video Archive Cinema Club? They're like, oh yeah, LA Confidential.
I mean, we definitely have a few of those movies. Like one that comes to mind is like 28 Days Later. It's like impossible to find that movie online. It's difficult to see. LA Confidential does have a really big core fan base. I feel like Curtis Hanson in general does, though. But these movies, every now and then you have a movie that's kind of a cultural phenomenon. And I'm going to name another one that's a cultural phenomenon that Curtis Hanson did. I mean, besides 8 Mile, which I think everyone knows about, but Hand That Rocks the Cradle. This was like a huge deal when it came out. And there were points in time where everyone was talking about The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. And it's funny because I got this one on tape from Be Kind Video, and I think I actually passed it back to you 2 weeks ago. Recently.
Yeah.
And when I watched it, I had no clue what it was. But then when I told my dad that I was like, oh, I'm going to pop on The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, he was like, there was a time where you could not stop hearing about The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. And then Ciro messaged me and he was like, oh yeah, like I remember Rebecca De Mornay is so hot in that movie. I'm like, I've never even heard of Rebecca De Mornay. Like, it's funny. So you have these cultural keystone movies and we have them throughout the decades. I mean, we show movies that are keystones in like the 30s and the 40s and the 50s in the Cinema Club. And here's one that's a keystone in the 90s.
Yeah, and I really enjoy this movie. It's just keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire time. It's such a taut script. I think it's just going to play really well in here on VHS. Now, this isn't your Christmas present. You already received one on this show. However, the VHS of it that we're going to show is actually sealed. And now you're going to open it.
Oh my God. Should I?
Right here on the show. Well, we have to make sure it's not a moldy tape.
Okay, we're going to unseal it. It's funny. I never, even when I buy sealed tapes online, because I do buy sealed tapes a lot on eBay, I just rip off the plastic immediately.
Well, it's funny because people worry about like, oh, what if there's mold inside that sealed tape?
No mold. It's all good. But it's also funny because Matt taught me what mold looked like because I had no idea what it looked like. And then I brought a tape to him and he's like, Gala, this is just infested with mold.
So if for you VHS collectors who are out there listening, moldy tapes are sort of a rampant problem in the VHS community. And I think it's because so many people store their tapes in their garages or in their attics or places that are sort of hubs for moisture. And what that looks like is if you're looking at your VHS tape out of the box and you're sort of looking through that plastic window onto the spool where the magnetic tape itself is stored, you might see a bit of this sort of white fuzz, which is really gross looking, and that's tape mold. And there are ways to get rid of this by cleaning it with alcohol and things like that, but it is something that collectors really frown upon, and you never know if there's any of that in a sealed tape. So thankfully, our copy of LA Confidential is clean.
I know we're talking about LA Confidential, but I just have to give a huge shout out to The River Wild. I love The River Wild. It has one of the best kind of character moments where they've brought up this talent that a character has, and eventually later she has to use it to save her family's life. It's so good. So if you want to make it like a personal double feature, you can come down to the Cinema Club, and if you have a ticket, and see LA Confidential, and then go home and watch The River Wild because it's just so flippin' good. Okay, now that we've raved and raved and raved about LA Confidential, I'm getting really hungry. I think it's time to head on over to Pam's and have a snack break.
Let's all go to Pam's Coffee.
Let's all go to Pam's Coffee. Let's all go to Pam's Coffee
and get ourselves a
snack.
Chocolate vegan cake.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Need parts now? O'ReillyAuto.com offers in-store pickup, same-day home delivery, or next-day home shipping. Get more parts your way at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
And we are back from Pam's Coffee. We ran into two employees at the coffee shop, Michelle and Eddie, and they recommended Matt and I their favorites. So, Matt, what did you get and from who?
Well, initially, Michelle told me that her favorite is lavender honey vanilla latte, but then she sort of revised it to say the cookie butter latte is even better. And she likes that with a slice of cherry pie.
You know who else likes a slice of cherry pie? Is
David.
Jinx. And Eddie gave me my recommendation, which is a dirty chai with oat milk and a cinnamon gluten-free chocolate banana bread. I've heard a lot about this banana bread.
It's very good. And I love order specificity as well.
I do too. This is exactly why I'm asking these people. I am creating a catalog in my brain of what people like to order because it's just always so fun. It tells you so much about a person, about if they're particular with their stuff or what kind of flavor profiles they like, if they're a tea or coffee person. And someone who's not a coffee person, which is me, Matt is a coffee person for sure. I love that Pam's has some really, really good tea options. So 2 thumbs up to that. Now for the last show of the week. We have Saturday the 28th at 7:30 p.m. Bachelor Mother with co-hit It's Love I'm After.
I can't believe that I think that Bachelor Mother from 1939 is our first Ginger Rogers movie.
I noticed that. I think it is the first
in
Ginger
the
Rogers.
Cinema Club.
Yeah.
She was such an iconic star in her era, and I don't think we've ever really showcased a lot of her work in here. So I'm really excited about that. And
well, Quentin and Roger both really love her in Gold Diggers of 1933, especially Roger. He loves Gold Diggers of 1933. And she's paired with a really, really good cast in this movie. I mean, we have David Niven. We have Charles Coburn.
Love David Niven in Casino Royale.
Yeah. Yeah. A funny story, actually. Back in the day, I ran a film club, and one of the very, very first things that we did was we did a Bond retrospective. And I know you're a huge Bond guy.
Oh, huge.
Like, huge. I don't think a lot of people know that about Matt, but they should. He's an encyclopedia of Bond knowledge and also Bond music knowledge.
Not that I have a ranked Spotify playlist of my favorite Bond themes. We could do a lightning round someday on Bond.
On Bond,
in here.
yeah, we could. But in my film club, for some reason, we played the 1967. We were doing them in order of like when they came out, but for some reason, we played the 1967 Casino Royale first. thinking that it was the first Bond movie, and then we soon discovered it is not.
Oh, it's not even part of the
It's
broccoli
non-eon.
canon.
Yeah, it's a
that
non-eon.
and Never Say Never Again.
But Never Say Never Again is one of the best Bond movies. And also, there's another non-canon movie that people like to rag on me. During, I think, the Olympics or some kind of British games, the Queen and Daniel Craig did like a Bond short film together.
Right.
And you can see the Queen walking with her corgis.
Oh,
And
funny.
it's really
Shout
cute,
out to
so-
Indy.
Yeah, shout out to Indy the corgi. Ginger Rogers is also starring in this movie, Bachelor Mother, along with, as we mentioned, David Niven, but also Charles Coburn, Frank Albertson, and E.E. Clive.
E.E. Clive is Bulldog Drummond's butler, Tenny. It all always connects to Bulldog Drummond
It
here at
always
the
goes
Video
back.
Archive Cinema Club. And this is basically a movie where Ginger Rogers finds a baby on the steps of an orphanage, and then this department store owner and his son offer her a job sort of under the proviso of if she accepts motherhood of this baby, and she needs the job. So then she ends up having the baby and sort of becomes an accidental mother, and she starts sort of an accidental romance with David Niven, and that basically raises questions about who the father of the child may actually be.
So I have a friend. He's one of my older friends on Letterboxd. I've been on Letterboxd for like 10 years now or something. His name's Tim Kopp. And I like Tim Kopp's comment on this movie is actually bringing up baby. Because I also love bringing up baby, but it got me by surprise. What do you got in your hand there, Matt?
So we have two original lobby cards of Bachelor Mother, and these are from Quentin's collection. And in one of them, we have David Niven and E.E. Clive with Ginger Rogers sort of peeking through the window, and David Niven is holding the baby. And I gotta say, it's interesting to see E.E. Clive in color here, because I'm just so
Yeah.
used to seeing him in these Bulldog Drummond movies. And then
But this
other
movie is
one-
in black and white. Just these lobby cards
Right.
are in color.
Right. And the other one, we have the baby with a very disaffected looking David Niven holding a balloon on a stick over the baby, attempting to be sort of a father figure.
Why don't printed materials look like this anymore? That's what I want to know, because look at how soft those colors are and just how vivid and beautiful. It's like, and the paper's thick. It's like these are quality items.
So if you come to the Cinema Club and you check out Bachelor Mother from 1939, you will get to see some of these original lobby cards on display.
But Matt, you know what is high quality though are these printed calendars for the Cinema Club. I always have to give a shout out. If you come to the Cinema Club, grab a calendar. It's a great collectible item for free.
That's right. And that brings us to the final movie of the week, which is It's Love I'm After, directed by Archie Mayo from 1937. And I really enjoyed this movie. This is the third and final pairing of Leslie Howard and Bette Davis after they did The Petrified Forest and Of Human Bondage. And it's actually their only comedy together, and it's really, really funny. So let me break down what's happening in this movie. So basically, Leslie Howard plays this very dramatic, very self-serious Shakespearean Broadway actor whose name is Basil Underwood, which I have to imagine is a reference to Basil Rathbone, who played alongside Olivia de Havilland in a lot of other movies like The Adventures of Robin Hood and Captain Blood. And Olivia de Havilland is obsessed with this guy, this stage actor, to the point where she sort of cons her way into his dressing room and comes in and tells him that she's in love with him. And he's so charmed by her that he thinks it's not real. He's like looking at his butler and stuff, being like, "Did you see that? Did you see that girl?" Like she was an illusion, basically. And his sort of real girlfriend is Bette Davis, who is his stage partner in this movie. So he has this tumultuous, sort of contemptuous relationship with Bette Davis, who is his girlfriend at the start of this movie, and he calls her a wretch, and he calls her all this stuff. And then you have Olivia de Havilland, who's playing 20 years old in this movie. I don't know if she actually was, coming to the stage door and professing her love for this famous actor.
Olivia de Havilland lived until she was 104 and died in 2020. And she was born in Tokyo. I did not know that she was born in Tokyo City in the Empire of Japan on July 1st, 1916, and died July 26, 2020, 104 years old in Paris, France. That is crazy, but she was a UK citizen by birthright.
And she is a Video Archives favorite. We have now shown a number of her movies that have Errol Flynn starring alongside her, such as Dodge City and The Adventures of Robin Hood and The Charge of the Light Brigade. Errol Flynn is not in this one. But anyway, she professes this love for Leslie Howard's character, even though she has a boyfriend who's Patrick Knowles. And this crazy thing happens where the boyfriend goes and accosts Basil, the actor, for his girlfriend being in love with him. Like, imagine going up to the biggest star in the world, like Timothée Chalamet or something, and like threateningly telling him to stay away from your girlfriend because she has an actor crush on him. Like, that is insane. That is something that could not happen now.
Or could it?
This wacky thing ensues where Leslie Howard agrees to meet up with Olivia de Havilland to try and discourage her from being in love with him. And then, of course, they start falling for each other even more. And she's like obsessed with him. And he's outright lying to Bette Davis, who he does love despite being somewhat abusive to her. And they kind of just go in circles. There's this very, very funny scene where the butler of Leslie Howard's character is like jumping up and down, making quacking sounds and like animal calls, trying to tell Leslie Howard to stop making out with Olivia de Havilland because Bette Davis is coming. And then she catches them making out. And he's like, oh, good. I'm so glad you're here. I was trying to dissuade her from being in love with me. It's a pretty funny scenario. The whole movie just has great humor of its time. And it is sort of a New Year's movie, which is perfect for why we're playing it now. They repeatedly sing Auld Lang Syne in this movie, but they make it like they're singing "We're here because we're here" instead of the lyrics of Auld Lang Syne. And I'm not entirely sure why they do that in the movie, but it does get stuck in your head after watching it. And this one is just really funny. And like Gala said, it's really hard to see. You can't stream it anywhere. So we're showing it actually on a Warner Archive Collection DVD, which has really cool poster art.
It is really difficult to see. I was actually not able to watch this one before taping because it's not available anywhere. So I'm going to have to come on over and check it out at the Cinema Club.
And that wraps up this month at the Video Archive Cinema Club. And this also wraps up this year at the Video Archive Cinema Club. So I really hope that everyone has a happy and safe holiday with their families. And I really look forward to seeing what the new year has in store for us here at the theater.
Yeah, it's this week, it's this month, and it's this year. So we will see you guys next week where we head on into the new year. Let's see what 2025 has in store for us. Remember, guys, patrons get this episode one day early for free over at patreon.com/videoarchives. And if you'd like to get your tickets to any of these shows, you can do so at
VistaTheaterHollywood.com.
And as always, follow them on Instagram at
Video Archives Club
and on Twitter at
Archives Club
for updates on show times and formats. Happy holidays. We really, really appreciate each and every one of you.
Thank you, guys.
See you next week and see you next year. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year.
This calendar episode was produced by the Video Archives podcast and hosted by Gala Avery and Matt Landsman. Additional audio editing by Eric Clapp. Find even more of Video Archives on our Patreon, patreon.com/videoarchives. Copyright 2024, all rights reserved.
This holiday season, surprise everyone on your list with the best gifts. Tickets to see their favorite artists live. Choose from thousands of concerts and comedy shows, including Mariah Carey, Mary J. Blige, Matt Matthews, Metallica, Thomas Rhett, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Sarah Silverman, and so many more. Share a memory together or give a gift they'll never forget. Find the most exciting gift for every fan at livenation.com/gifts. That's livenation.com/gifts.
Need parts now? O'ReillyAuto.com offers in-store pickup, same-day home delivery, or next-day home shipping. Get more parts your way at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Oh, 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 O'Reilly Auto Parts.